We are just about to get started, guys. What's up, Yemi? What's up, Egyptian? What's up, guys? Glad to see you in. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, guys. Oh, I still got my poll up from that stream on Saturday. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. It was a great time for sure. But it's a shame with everything that's been going on. Hopefully everybody's been keeping up with all the latest news, especially with what has happened with Micron. It's a bit disappointing, I have to say the least. They have their heart not really on the consumer side. It seems that they want to focus a bit more on making a little bit more moolah, make a little bit more money on the side of AI. They're trying to go with the trend. Apologize about the camera. Let me readjust that. What's up, Alex? Good to see you. Hopefully you got your build coming together quickly. And this is pretty bad news when it comes over to the industry side. Reason being is because Micron is one of the top 3 major developers next to Samsung and HK Hynix. You might not really hear too much about them because they really focus on their side brand when it comes to PC building, when it comes to more of the crucial side. They also focus more on the pre-built side when it comes to HB, Dell, Alienware, whichever pre-built PCs that you are thinking of, that is typically who they develop for. What's up, HDP? What's up, HD Psycho? Hopefully everything's been going good. Villain glasses. Yes, 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's been insane, right? I actually just slipped up. I went ahead and had to make a purchase. And what I chose to do was hopefully that I get it. I went through B&H Photo because they actually had some crucial RAM that they currently are selling. But I don't know if the order is going to get through. More than likely it's going to get canceled because Crucial had announced some memory, like some really affordable memory. It was 6,000 megahertz of memory plus CL32, not for a bad deal, for about $320. Now, of course, that's still pretty pricey compared to what it was back in September of 2025. But you can't really beat that deal today, especially for how much Corsair is charging when it comes to their RAM. I mean, if you check out their website, there is no way you could get anywhere near $300. So, is AMD? Yes. So they actually announced they are raising their prices. They announced it as soon as yesterday. So apparently they are planning to push up processors pricing. But this actually has nothing to do with the AI side. This was always planned for the AMD side. And I was hoping that they want to go through with it. But this is what happens when you have one side that is completely dominant when it comes to CPUs. Everybody prefers to get AMD processors. And of course, they have all to say when it comes to it. And that's why, if this whole issue with Micron, that's why it's such a big deal. And reason being is because now you only have really the two that really makes SD-RAM, which is going to be SK Hynix and Samsung. And Samsung really doesn't do too much for DDR5. It's more HK Hynix. But because now you kind of eliminated one of the competition because they want to focus more on HBMs, which is an issue. So, hey Chris, I nabbed some cheap 32 gigabyte DDR5, 6,000 megahertz, AM5 Expo CL28 for eBay for, oh really? Wow, CS Squawk, I gotta know that seller. Send me the Discord. send me a Discord, please. I would love to know. Also, just to announce, you guys, just to let you know that there is commands. The commands are certainly back, so you can feel free to hit something like exclamation point Discord, and it will show our Discord. You can put exclamation lurk. You can put any type of those commands that should come up now. I have them fixed up, so that's all good to go. And you might see some random prompts. You won't see the spam from the bots as much either. So that's the good news for you guys out there. So what's up, James XTO? Thank you for joining in. I do appreciate it. So we got 2 Jameses. Because that's one thing that slipped my mind. I know you, because I remember you said you didn't like being called Egyptian too much, so I figured that would be the easiest way to go through about. So if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask. This is an open chat, and I do obviously communicate with the chat, so you can feel free if you are building a PC, or if you're trying to upgrade, and if you're curious if this is the right time to buy some memory. I can completely understand. I know everything is gone pretty berserk, especially with the pricing, not only with the memory side, but you know what's funny? Because of how highly priced memory is, and everything else really is mostly highly priced, even SSDs, as mentioned in some of the comments on Ramageddon. Hopefully you guys got to check out that video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, but this is going to be the truth of the matter, because Team Group has said that this problem is only going to get worse, that it can actually delay even to 2028, but let's hope not. That's more than likely going to be the worst case scenario. So you need help, Neville. What's up? Oh, it didn't work. Oh man, it was supposed to. Let me. You know what? This stream bot, man. Let me. It should be working. You know what it is? I feel like it gets kind of picky, like when it comes to certain commands. Let me make sure that they're all enabled here, and they look like they all are. Let me just try on my end real quick. Thank you, CS Squawk. I'm glad that you enjoyed that video. You got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 for it. That's a great deal. CPU is close to $400. Not bad. What's up, Noah? Welcome in. Thank you for joining in. We're just talking on everything about the whole Ramageddon issue. It really is Ramageddon, because this is going to be a domino effect. This isn't going just to affect RAM, unfortunately. As some of you guys have noticed, you guys have seen that NAND pricing has went up. So that's also going to be an issue. VRAM's also going to be an issue. And I do have some news for everybody out there who is interested in getting, say, the next generation of NVIDIA. Now, this is kind of going over the fact of the 50 series Super. We all know it's going to come out eventually, but exactly when? And there is no set date, because there's not enough VRAM being produced. Reason being is because the NVIDIA is not really dealing with the issue. They don't want to. In fact, there's actually a podcast that Jensen Huang is on, which definitely got to check out, which involves Joe Rogan and Jensen Huang talking to each other. I'm curious if he'll bring it up. I'm sure he has. But if this is the case, it seems that they have delayed it indefinitely. Reason being is because it was supposed to show up for CES 2026. More than likely, we're not going to see it there. And it's going to end up, we're probably not even going to see it during NVIDIA's press conference. Usually they do it in March. Computex is another one. They are more than likely not going to announce it then. So hopefully this whole RAM issue gets resolved, and the same thing with the VRAM. In fact, they just pass it off to their board partners and said to them, like, hey, you guys are now responsible for getting the RAM. We'll provide you the GPU and the PCB, but you guys have to put your own RAM on there, your own VRAM. So I just literally upgraded to gray. Cryptic Celt says from a 3060 Ti to a RX 9070. Thank you for subscribing, Noah. Certainly appreciate it. What power supply? For the that's why I'm a bit curious about Kyrian. So the 2600K with the 1060, that doesn't hurt. I mean, I can understand, especially with the pricing today. The funny thing is, NVIDIA has actually pushed out a Linux driver up to Pascal, which is again the GTX 1000, specifically for Linux. Nothing for Windows, because they had said that they're pretty much done with on the Windows side of things. And more than likely, this is what I wanted to share with you guys about NVIDIA. Now, the rumor is, when it comes to their new 6000 series GPU, from what I've been hearing, is that more than likely they might even go into HBM. So if they're going to go into HBM instead of using like something like G7, that's going to be quite pricey. That put a little bit of fear in my heart, because I'm not going to want to spend even more than what we have to already on GPUs. Could you imagine if they decide to go an HBM route with GPUs? That would just be ridiculous. So Micro Center for the win, absolutely. Micro Center is certainly the greatest when it comes to buying your PC components. I'm glad that anybody out there who has a Micro Center, make sure to check it out. They will certainly give you the best deals. One of the best things about them is that they do certainly price match. If you show them Amazon or Newegg, that they are willing to give you that price match for that price. So you traded your Ryzen 5 3400G for and paid only 10 euros or 10 pounds for or quid, as like you say it, Ryzen 5 3600X because of the trade. Not bad. So R. Chobi says, what do you think of the build of a 9950 X3D Silent Loop 3 door not paste? Awesome. So far sounds great. ROG X870i, that's an interesting one. 96. Wow. When did you buy this RAM? I just gotta know, Chobi. Western Digital SN8100, 4 terabytes. That sounds like a beast. RTX 5080 Lian Li A4H20 X4, so you got 4 of them, and the SF850. So I think it's an excellent build. I bet it's pretty quiet, especially because you have that Silent Loop 3, and those fans are great choices. It gets plenty of airflow, and I think you have a solid build. I definitely give it a thumbs up approval for sure. HD Psycho says, so I was getting the 7900 GRE and the Ryzen 5 7500F, and I'm getting the local 32 gigabytes RAM for 100 USD for 56,000 megahertz CL40, 6,000 for, that's a great deal. A CL30 for 175 USD and 6400 megahertz CL40 for 120 USD. If you're able to get it for those prices, I would be all over that. Now, if you're trying to choose between them, it sounds like you're trying to pick between them. 6,000, now 56, throw that out the window because CL40, 5600, and you're putting it on a Ryzen system, forget that. I would go for the CL30, but you haven't specified for which type of, how fast your bus speed is. I'm assuming it's 6,000 megahertz. If it is, definitely go for that. You want to go for the lower latency if that's the case. But if you get something like, say, if it's 6,400 megahertz and it's at, say, CL32, that doesn't matter because you can always adjust the timing. So that can always be done. But going beyond the realm, I feel like anything over CL36 is going to be a bit more of a delay. But if you can get it for a better deal, why not just grab it, especially if you don't have it? So unless you're planning to do a build and you're trying to get by, then you can get like more of the later latency. Upgrading, only upgrade please if you need to. You don't want to spend the extra money if you don't have to, especially if you're able, because when you really think about it, if you build a PC and you say you already just finished it just this past September, honestly, you don't really have to touch that RAM for maybe another 2-3 years, and hopefully by then everything has settled down. So only get RAM if it's absolutely necessary. If you need to upgrade, then get it. If you don't, then definitely don't force yourself, don't force your pockets, especially paying extra capital in order to try to get some RAM. But what definitely scares everybody out there, I gotta say for certain, into 2026, is that it's going to be a shortage of RAM. So everything that you see on shelves is probably going to be the last of it temporarily, because they don't have the foundries to back it up. Samsung is not interested in building more. Neither is HK Hynix. They're not interested. And now you also have Crucial, aka Micron, that is going to be involved with this whole HBM process. So hopefully this whole AI craze certainly does slow down. I would definitely refrain from using any AI if anybody is trying to use AI, just because any type of use of it, I know it's not going to completely stop it, to be real, but hopefully it slows it down some. So yeah, I love I'm running 10 until the day I die. That I'm telling you that GTX 1000 series is a beast. It's literally like that. It's just like that GIF where you have all the people with swords just running into battle. That's just like how the GTX 1000 is. What's up, Nut? Lord Vortex. I don't know if this is a good match, but I got a 7900 XTX and a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. Awesome. That's a decent match. That's actually pretty good. Now, usually, have you? I'm assuming you probably bought its new the 7900 XTX. It has 24 gigabytes of VRAM, so you can take advantage of it. Definitely a great deal. What I'm curious about, though, is how AMD is going to reveal things for this upcoming CES. I'm really hoping that they do have a competitor for the against the RTX 5090, but again, we'll see, especially because of how this whole situation is looking when it comes to VRAM and when it comes to DRAM and when it comes to everything else, really, when it comes to the whole chipset market. So 850, that's a good, that's definitely perfect when it comes to the 9070 XT, when it comes to the power supply. So Rizzo says, I picked up 64 gigabytes, 2 sticks of DDR4 3600 CL16 a year and a half ago for 100. You gotta love it, Rizzo. You definitely made bank out there with it. So the Ryzen 9 9950X or the 9950 X3D for rendering, which one is more reliable? Now, if you're trying to go for rendering and that is your sole focus, what's up? I think I said what's up to that already. But I would say if that is your main focus, you want to go for the 9950X. You want to get the 9950 X3D if you certainly do game on the side. Not saying the 9950X wouldn't do well when it comes to gaming. It certainly will. But if you are more production focused and you're more focused on rendering, then certainly go for the 9950X. That would certainly do a lot better. David, what's up? So, hey, Chris, I asked you about a week ago which GPU should I upgrade from the 4060 Ti, and you recommended the 5070 Ti, which, well, I decided to go with the 9070 XT. It was more budget friendly. Thanks. That's awesome. How do you like it? Did you install it already, David? I got to know. Let me know. Hassan got the X3D. Can you overlook the RAM speed? You can I think you mean overclock. You certainly could. DDR4 was more known for that. With DDR5, it isn't. You certainly could do it, but it doesn't give you as much options. It's almost not needed because now everything is going to be set to either Expo or it's going to be set in XMP3. So either way, take advantage of that instead of actually tweaking the timings unless you want to try to tweak it to get some lower latency. So Kirian says the 5600, 6000, and anything more than CL26 and CL36. So, what's up, Squeeze? Good to see you. I do. Well, I thank you for coming in, though. Hella, did you see the AMD price hike? Yes, that was expected, unfortunately. AMD was planning to do this. Stunner, what's up? So, Message for the World says 248 was 350 on. Yeah, that's the thing. 248 was only 358 for November 13th. Now 750. That sounds right. Unfortunately, you heard motherboard prices are going up. I haven't heard that, but I can certainly say as of now, they're definitely a lot lower than what they usually are. And if you check out any of the motherboards right now, you can definitely grab a good deal on them. I think I have them all in the description box, but feel free to check out. I get to your question, Stunner. I'm just going through the chat right now just to answer all the questions here. When will AMD make the CPU for AM5 socket? More cash for. So you're curious more probably about the 9850 X3D, right? I'm sure everybody is. And the thing is, when it comes to the 9850 X3D, it's certainly going to have a bit more V-cache. Well, quite a bit. It's nearly double. And the thing when it comes to the clock speed, it's going to be a slight enhancement, about 400 megahertz. So you won't see like a large difference there when it comes to multitasking. But it certainly could take advantage when it comes to things like such as gaming, if the CCD is being used correctly. I think we spoke about like when it comes to say like Battlefield 6, some people were having problems with the X3D, and the main reason is because it's using the wrong CCD as CCD1, because CCD1 is using non-V cache. you want it to use the you just want to focus on just regular Vcache, which is on CCD 0. And if you're able to do so, then you can enable the full ability of your Ryzen processor, which is exactly that you want. Unfortunately, there was some issues with the anti-cheat, and it ends up using all your cores instead. So then it kind of selects what it wants to use. You could always manually select it. If you use something like Lasso is a great program to do so if you want to select it, and you can double check it even. Or if you don't use something like Lasso, you can even go into Task Manager, and you can even check what type of cores are being used on your CPU. So to answer your question, Stunner, so what are my PC specs? Now that depends on if it's on the streaming PC, something completely different, but I'm assuming you mean my gaming rig. My gaming rig is actually with a RTX 5090. I have 48 gigabytes of DDR5, 6400 megahertz of CL30. I also, it's funny how that's going to be a flex now compared to what it was before, because that, again, so as someone mentioned earlier, it was the cheapest component compared to the rest of the build. But anyway, it also has the AMD Ryzen, the AMD Ryzen 9800 X3D, uses the Ryujin 3 as the CPU cooler, and it also uses the Asus X870E Hero inside of a Corsair 5000X case. Power supply is MSI's a 1000 watt power supply. I haven't thought about upgrading to 1200 because I saw a great deal on it, but definitely not needed though as of now. Has a Gigabyte Gen 5 SSD in it. But those are the specs for the gaming rig. Let me know if I missed anything. New wood motherboards from Gigabyte. Yes. Yes, you saw that. That's funny that you brought it up, because that brings up the whole question when it comes to Project Wood here. So no, sorry, Shawshank. I'm trying to respond to everybody too, bro. X870E Hero BTF North XLRC box. So that would be awesome to get. That's something I actually want to do. I actually got a PC case from one of the companies. Can't wait to showcase it to you guys and show you what it is. Unfortunately, I tried to request for more extra things, such as RAM, but they said no, they couldn't give it to me because obvious reasons. In fact, you want to hear something funny? Samsung, right? All you guys know Samsung. Their fabs, they have different fabs for everything, right? As you know, Samsung has a fab for their displays. They also have a fab for their memories, and they also have a fab for their phones. So they needed to build their new phone, and I'm sure you guys heard about the new Samsung Trifold, their new phone that is going to be released. And apparently they said that when they were trying to build their brand new phones, not just the Trifold, but they tried to get some more RAM for the phone. And their own company, Samsung's own company, said, no, we're not approving it. We're sorry. We're going to focus more on the HBM side. So can you imagine? Samsung denied their self to do this to their own phone. So indeed, hope it has a very big increase. Cryptic Celt says, I just wish they would sort Unreal Engine 5. That is a terrible engine. I 100% agree with you. It takes up every type of resource you could imagine in your system. It's just a greedy resource hog, I gotta say. And there's absolutely nothing nobody could do. When they move on to Unreal Engine 6, hopefully that completely washes it away, but it's hard to say. After seeing Unreal Engine 5, it's just a complete disaster. And if anybody plays, just speaking on the fact of just showing how much of an improvement, when it comes to optimizations, when it comes to PCs, just like Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 was originally nearly about 150 gigabytes when you download it and have it on your PC. Now, with the new optimizations, this just shows you what companies do when it comes to releasing games. Again, it was originally 150 gigabytes. Then they released a new update for Helldivers 2, and with the new update and it being properly optimized for PC, it is only now 29 gigabytes. You literally got rid of about 75% of space that was taken up on PCs. So just imagine if all the games are properly optimized. It would take up so much less space. So indeed, I hope it is a very big increase. So the 16-pin GPU power cable connector is even from AMD's GPU, NVIDIA GPU. Oh, you're finishing that build tonight? Awesome. That makes you wonder if the game devs are pushing back, or pushing the game requires increased computer performance if no one can buy the part to run the latest and greatest titles. And that's the thing. It's like now with developers, it kind of screws everybody over, because now if you have a PC, you gotta hope that you have a properly optimized system. In fact, Valve did a recent hardware survey, and I know a lot of people are probably pretty pissed about it, especially because now that 4060 is no longer the popular card when it comes to Steam. And you know what the new popular card for Steam is right now? It's the RTX 5060. So people are still upgrading. They're still changing their GPU when it comes to newer systems. So this is new from the new 2025 Steam hardware survey. And not as many people, unfortunately, have AMD's GPUs. Again, they make phenomenal GPUs. If anyone needs a GPU, I highly recommend trying out the 9070 XT. Definitely one of the top and most highly recommended, even comparing to like a RTX 5070 or RTX 5080, even the RTX 5090, all three of them. I'm telling you, the RTX, the RX 9070 XT is just a awesome performance and awesome price to value when it comes to it. So this makes you oh, that's awesome. You're finishing your build tonight? That's great. This makes you wonder if the game devs are pushing back games that require increasing computer performance. If no one can buy parts to run the latest and greatest titles, only 150 gigs. Always the 60. So I'm going to try out my command here. The funny thing is, I bet if I type it works. It's probably going to work for me for some weird reason. Yeah, there it goes. That's so weird. So if I wrote that, of course it works. So for some reason, I have a time command on there too, but for some reason it doesn't work. Awesome. Yeah, I just typed it just to make sure. Now, anyone can feel free to type a command. You could try to do the explanation Discord. I just want to go try it out just to make sure it was working. I have the other commands here just to make sure that they're working too. And it's pretty funny because I have them all set. If you have a RTX 5070, would you rather upgrade to a 5070 Ti? I would highly recommend upgrading because 16 gigabytes is now going to be like the minimum requirement when it comes to gaming, especially if you're going to game on something like a HDMI and then like a 1440p monitor, and you want to get the maximum resolution, you want to get the maximum FPS, because now it seems that most people have a 240 hertz display, and if you want to hit that, you're going to need something at least like 16 gigabytes at the minimum, unless you don't mind setting it to performance mode, where you do take a hit in the graphical side, where you won't see as much quality in your games. So I highly recommend getting 16 gigabytes. So the stream chat is getting filled from each stream open. Yes. What's up, man? Yeah, it's wild. I put the parts into Micro Center of the PC. I just built it, and it went from 2200 practically, and I paid 2600. I love my 5070 Ti 16 gigabytes. It's good, as I hope. Oh, it's going to last you, because you just built that PC, it's definitely going to last you quite some time, especially if you're more of the type that doesn't really upgrade as often as other people do. Some people like to upgrade consistently. Some people like to upgrade like almost like every 3 to 4 months just to try to keep up. And I get that. But for most people out there who build a PC, they just want to use their money to buy games so that way they can enjoy their titles. And more than likely, you're going to be good with your 5070 Ti, especially with your system. Now, again, it all depends on everybody out there on what they're used when it comes to their PC, whether they're going to 1440p. For me, I love to go ultra wide when it comes to PC gaming. I just prefer a 30:9 ratio. So as you know, I made my rig 2 months ago. 9950 X3D Tomahawk X870E Oris Master 5080 64 gigabytes and CL30 RAM. I'm thinking of making streams and rendering PC. What would it, which would be connected to this PC I'm thinking of? Replacing the 5080 with an AMD GPU to make a Intel NVIDIA build. Budget is about 3 to 4K. Yeah, you should certainly be able to do that. I'm sure you can do that, G. Certainly think you can do that. So thoughts on the first PC? Oh, you will build it by next year of October and November. That's perfect. It's going to be good timing. So thoughts on the first PC waiting on the case. So you have a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D with a 7, and you also have a B850A awesome board, ROG. Now you have ASRock 9070 XT. So you did pretty good on your budget, I gotta say. Definitely got some great hardware, especially for what has been out there right now. G-Skill 6000 CL36, definitely going to be one of the better RAMs kits that are out there, way better than those CL42 kits that I'm seeing. And the 9100 Pro 2 terabytes Corsair PSU RM850. That's actually solid. That's also a very solid build that you put together. I'm proud of you, Gator. You're gonna love it. So Hyde says, yeah, it's wild. 32 gigabytes RAM went to 180 to 270 in 2 weeks. That's wild. I have 1440p monitor, but I'm trying to decide whether to go 1440. So the good thing is, if you do choose to go to OLED, it's not going to make a difference when it comes to the 1440p side. If you choose to go 4K, that's a little bit different. Now, of course, if when it comes to the OLED display, the RAM isn't going to matter as much as your GPU. Obviously, if you want 64 gigabytes of RAM, it's going to cost you practically like an RTX 5080 anyway. So you might as well just upgrade to an RTX 5080 and just sell your 5070 Ti. Just saying, but more than likely, you're going to be fine with your RTX 5070 Ti. It's not going to struggle really much at all. In fact, especially if you take advantage. Just a question in here, definitely a poll. I gotta put this poll up just because I actually have a great question for you guys. Out of curiosity, everybody this year, who has AMD Ryzen 9000 series, not the processor, but talking about the GPU, or who also has a NVIDIA 50 series, or maybe perhaps a 4090 even. And I'm going to put this question out. Now, in order, the way this poll works is you just simply type in the number that comes up, and when you put that number in, that will input the graphical poll. So I'm going to ask the question here. Does anybody with those GPUs use frame gen? So it's going to be a simple, just like pretty much a simple yes or no. And I'm going to save this poll here. And I will put it up. Let's see. Right there. So I'm going to put that up. And you guys let me know what your thoughts are. Out of curiosity, I've been getting pretty much mixed things about it. So you can feel free to make a vote on the poll and just put either 1 or 2 to answer the question. So appreciate the feedback. OLED's awesome, to be honest. OLED is great for anybody who wants to go. With OLED, it certainly makes a difference when it comes to gaming. So you gotta definitely, OLED, like just when I went to, say, playing Power World, when I was originally playing on an IPS display. Now, the graphics are also great for when it comes to Power World. But when it came to an OLED display, it just made everything pop. But many people are afraid when it comes to OLED is burn-in. And it's an obvious fear to have because it still does exist. But is it as common as it was back then? And I can say for certain that when it comes to OLED, it doesn't really happen as often because now with these new generation OLED monitors, they have heat sinks. They also have pixel remapping. They also have adaptive displays to where it knows if you're sitting in front of the screen. And when it does, it'll actually dim down if you're just looking away, like for a couple of minutes, just to prevent any type of burn-in. So OLED isn't really anything to worry about. It's definitely a lot more. It's definitely better when it comes to input lag. It's actually pretty fast. It's amazingly fast. It's faster than IPS when it comes to input lag. And it's certainly an advantage when it comes to seeing the colors, and the pure blacks are just awesome on it. So, Pratik Gon says, I just bought the 5070 along with the 850 watt modular PSU and deep cool CPU cooler. So that's awesome. How do you like it so far? How do you like the deep cool cooler? They do make great coolers. In fact, I actually have a deep cool cooler that I use, and that's in this very build. So far, we have a lot of news. I don't see anybody using frame generation. See, that's what I figured, because when it comes to frame generation, it seems that not many people are really happy for it. So far, I'll keep this poll up for like let's give it like another 4 minutes, just to see if we get a continuous no. And from what it seems like, that's definitely going to be the case. Didn't mean to move myself there. Meant to move the poll there, so that way you can see it a bit better. What's up, Frozen? Good to see you. I gotta ask you, Frozen, do you use FrameGen, just out of curiosity? So I currently have the Acer Nitro 1440 180 Hertz. I don't know if I need to upgrade, but I saw MSI OLED, and I don't know if I want to spend. Well, you get it if you need it. If you're more of a competitive gamer, OLED can certainly take the edge. Especially if it's a high refresh rate monitor, if it's a bit quicker, especially if you play something like first-person shooters, you can have that advantage. It does make quite an advantage if you're playing something like Battlefield 6, or if you're playing something like if you are a Black Ops 7 player. Not going to judge right now, but if you are, I'm just saying you can certainly take advantage of those refresh rates if that's the case. So. Also, I use Thermalright's Phantom Spirit 120 Evo. I'm nervous to use AIO or liquid cooling. Do you prefer? Now, this all depends. I can understand why people don't like AIOs, and it's pretty obvious the reason why. They don't really trust any type of, when it comes to liquid, especially when it comes to water. They call it coolant, but we all know it's just like distilled water or mineral water practically. So anyway, nobody likes to deal with it. And of course, if it leaks into your system, of course, it can cause some serious damage. But I can certainly say AIOs have certainly improved so much, especially since they first were pretty much developed. And I can say, if you're more of a person that is very cautious, then I can understand going the full air route. If you go the full air route, I did come out with quite a list of different ones I do recommend, depending on your budget. Now, one of the top ones I certainly do recommend when it comes to it is the D15G2, which is their new one, which is Noctua's new one, which is dead silent, and you can get it for your CPU to keep it nice and cool. They even put them on like Threadrippers, just to give you an idea how well that air cooler works. So, but if you choose air, I would go that route. But if you want to go AIO, you want to try it out, you certainly can. If you go AIO, I do have some suggestions in my video. Definitely check it out. It's actually right before the Rampocalypse video, just to let you know. I mean, not Rampocalypse, Ramageddon. Sorry. So, yeah, I figured. So no one. So this poll will go down in about a minute. First day mate, all white build. I hope I enjoy. You're going to love it. I bet you will. Cubics. Of course you asked this. It's not actually easy to find 4090s anymore, just to let you know. FrameGen is just a marketing gimmick. Exactly. So I gotta know, what does everybody think of frame generation? Like, how do you feel about it? Has anyone just was curious and was like, let me see what the hype's about. Let me turn on frame generation. Let me see exactly how it performs. I want to see how much more frames can I get out of the game? Has anyone actually used it and said, yeah, this ain't it? Just out of curiosity. Because I know I was the same exact way. I went to turn it on just to see what the hype was about. But yeah, I wasn't feeling it. And I'll explain why. I just want to hear everybody's reasoning for it too. So I also have the best PC ever. I love Noctua. I don't care about RGBs. I put the Chrome Max fans on my Lian Li 207 case. That's awesome, hide and seek. That is definitely the right choice. But yeah, I gotta tell you, Hyde, the Eagles got to take the win. Just got to throw that out there. So I have a Ryzen 9 9950X3D and a GTX 480. Yes, that's what. My mind just got thrown off there. You got a 9950X3D and a GTX 480. How did that happen? Excuse me. How did that happen? What's up? What's up, Happy Bell? Morning. Yeah. Good morning, guys. Yeah, Singapore. That's one of the places I gotta go. It's funny because if anybody was tuned in onto the channel before, we took a trip. We went out to Taiwan to show you everything that they produce out there. Especially if you're into PC building, it's like the best place to go for it, for sure. But I would love to check out Singapore too, man. So frame gen is fake. We need real power since frame generation. There you go. And I'm about to get into my beef with that whole thing too soon. I disagree if you put RGB in the calculator. RGBs, yes. Good old RGBs. If you want more frames, you gotta turn it green. You gotta match that RTX card. Or you gotta match your Radeon card, whichever that of your choosing. So my 1060 would do 1.5 times better with frame generation XeSS on average. Bro, I was at the... Oh, really? You were there too? Oh, that sucks. Yeah, you're not the only person I know that went to that game. There's quite a few people I know that actually went to that, and they were all pretty pissed about it. I thought they were going to take it, and they were going to make a comeback, but man, that was frustrating. I just couldn't imagine seeing it. Cubics, the bottleneck would be... that's what threw me off. My mind just blew, literally. So let me take down that poll, guys. It's pretty obvious that no one cares for frame gen, and... I'll explain exactly why. Angry Rooster, welcome. So with the increase of RAM price expected for lasting for years and anticipated price increase in SSDs and GPUs again, do you think that PC gaming and building is a hobby is near? That's, personally, I'm really scared of that. That is one of the things I do fear. And I know there's a lot of fear mongering out there when it comes to things such as, like when we had the shortages of GPUs of the RTX 50 series. That's nothing new. We all know it's going to come to an end. It's just a matter of when it's going to come to an end. Everything almost has its own cycle. But when it comes to something like this feels much different. This is scary almost how bad this feels, because it's just the fact that AI is obviously around and it's not going anywhere. Not yet, at least. And they're obviously trying to compete and have the best data centers. And OpenAI is one of the ones that is really interested in getting more HBMs, DRAM, and everything that they need in order for their AI to work successfully. And unfortunately, this is going to be unforeseen until we see some sort of cooling when it comes to AI. If less people start relying on AI, if people actually start getting tired of using AI to really research everything. But it seems like everybody that you talk to will immediately have ChatGPT as one of their go-to apps, like one of their most common apps. You can say, like, for today in 2025, especially for December, it's going to be ChatGPT. Or it's going to be Google Gemini. It's going to be some sort of AI software somebody is using. You can already see that there's fatigue when it comes to video creation, when it comes to AI. You can see that. You're seeing less and less of it. People are just not interested in it because you can't differentiate reality between what is fake and what is real. And that's a large problem. And people are getting less interested. They prefer real, raw human emotion, and that only people can do that. And it's also obvious when it comes to writing, when someone's talking to you and you see this long hyphen, and you know that's not a person writing that. You know that it came from AI. Or you have those quick, like those weird quick comments that you know that isn't natural for a person to do. So we just gotta hope this whole AI craze kind of cools off and it acts just like everything else that has happened with us in the past, such as 3D glasses. I was hoping it would be just like that. They threw this all over us, but of course it failed. It's just did not. It's just not as popular. But I feel like it's one of those things where it is going to be popular, and they're trying to hang on it for dear life. But eventually, I think it's going to pretty much phase out eventually, and more. And if you see it more, it's going to be more for professional usage, I would think. So, Vic B13 says, I have 5070 Ti and 9800 X3D coming in. Question is, I have the 4K 240 Hertz OLED monitor. Should I have gone with 1440? No, you're good. I'll tell you that right now. You're going to be good, Vic. I wouldn't worry about it. That's actually going to be very decent to work with. I also tried to get 4 gigabytes of RAM, but so expensive. Imagine, you're just effing around. You gotta be. So I don't do colors. That's why I got the PNY 5070 Ti. Oh, you got the PNY card. How is that going, by the way? Just out of curiosity, because it's been a quit of a. Sometimes it's been sort of controversial. Sometimes it's not. But I would love to hear your side of the coin on how it's been working out for you. So Havy says, running a AM4 rig. Let me just throw this down here, guys, real quick for you. Because apparently my auto timer isn't working. So anybody can feel free to join this Discord. So running my AM4 rig, since pricing is going up, I should upgrade since pricing is going up. CPU Ryzen 7 5800X with a RTX 3080. I see. So you're using some aging hardware and you want to upgrade. That's a bit tricky. You're like right in that between stage, because like anything considered like from the RTX 20 series and 30 series is pretty much close to being outdated, as if Nvidia decides to move forward with their super cards. But again, that's due time. I would highly suggest, if you do plan on upgrading, this is for everybody out there who does plan on building a PC. If you do, make sure to upgrade this year, because they've already said it. AMD has said this. Nvidia hasn't officially said anything, but AMD, and there's quite a few other companies that has said that 2026 is going to be a very painful year for anybody trying to do anything like building a PC or upgrading, because again, they're going to be a lot shorter when it comes to PC hardware. So if you do need to upgrade, this would be the time to do it. This year would be the time to do it. If it's okay to get a Christmas gift for yourself, guys. So every Zach. So yeah, guys, we just raid the. I like that idea. It does. You know what's the right move? You just find out like when the deliveries are from when it comes to RAM. So should I buy a PC or just wait? Notorious, I gotta say, what is your PC looking like now? Or are you new to PCs? Are you new to PC gaming? If you are, and you want to get involved in it and you want to do things like gaming and streaming, I would say it would be a great time to get into it now before it gets even worse. CyberPower PC is one of the companies out there, and I'm telling you, like they're gonna come out with a statement. Just mark my words here. HP's gonna come out with a statement. Dell's gonna come out with a statement. All these usual suspects that make PCs and pre-built PCs, they're going to tell you. CyberPower, in fact, might even have a second statement, because they're all users of Micron when it comes to RAM. And if that's the case, they're not going to be able to have a cheap source to purchase RAM from. You know what that means? They're going to either have to buy from Kingston, or they're going to have to buy from Corsair, the more expensive brands, which is going to make those pre-built PCs raise up in price. So again, Micron just announced this today. So it's certainly an advantage for anybody out there that wants to get a pre-built PC to certainly start taking a look at your options now, because it's going to just get more expensive, especially in 2026. So AI actually scares me, because sometimes I can't tell what's real. I am glad I pressed. Hey, I did it myself today, because I'm not going to wait till next year and spend $600 or $700 on 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's just effing ridiculous. So the GT7, no problem, Vic. So it's a good card. I got no issues with it. It's basic and works good. So Ali says, hey, I just got a Asus Prime RX 9070 XT overclock on Cyber Monday for 550 pounds, right? That's awesome. That is a great. That's actually an awesome deal, because anybody that is getting the GPUs, take advantage now, because they're actually below MSRP on a lot of those pricings, especially that RX 9070 XT. That's an awesome deal. Shall I change my XG259QN for OLED? 5+ hours on CS2. I will do work for myself, research and machine learning stuff. Awesome. That's good to get into, actually. Anybody out there that is interested in doing like everyone's going to go after you too, just to let you know, because again, when it comes to LLMs, I have these 64 gigabytes of RAM, 7900X, 4080. I play heavy CPU work games. Okay, so if that's the case, if you use something that's more heavy CPU, honestly for you, I wouldn't really see the need for OLED. Now, the problem is when it comes to OLED, there is one issue, and that happens to be the text clarity. If you are more of a person that does things like programming, or you do things like, just like how you're going to do focus on more like things like LLM, you're going to be focusing on a lot of text. And that is the one disadvantage that OLED has. It certainly has gotten a lot better. It's certainly doable if you can deal with it. It's not nowhere near as bad as something like when it comes to like a variable, when it comes to VRR. It's a lot better compared to something like that. But it's not nowhere as crisp when it comes to IPS displays, when it comes to text. Now, if you are more oriented when it comes to gaming on, say, if you're more of a PC gamer, or if you're more of the type that's into like game development, or if you're more of a video editor, OLED will have its advantages there. So, Ali says, I have a, Hyde. You said, yeah, JSense just put out a video for AMD and NVIDIA GPUs. He was pissed. Yeah, I almost had spent guilt upgrading my PC, but I just been working over. Hey, you know, you're not the only one. Everybody here has to work overtime to build a PC. At this point, I really get the idea why Jensen has said what he said at CES 2025 earlier. If you guys were tuned in on that keynote when he did announce the whole 50 series, he said everyone's going to have $10,000 PCs. He's not kidding, because if you look at your PC and you built it earlier in the year, that PC is probably going to be running pretty close to $10,000 now, especially with the pricing of RAM, the GPUs, and everything else that is going to go up, especially in 2026. So, GTX 1050 Ti I have now. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Notorious.
Notorious AW8 subscribe to the channel.
I have a 10400 with the 10th end CPU pair with a 9070 XT with minimal bottleneck. Okay, that's the biggest thing you want to avoid is the bottleneck. 9070 XT, again, a great GPU. Ali, tell everybody about it. Tell them how great it is. Which that just reminds me, I do have to go into that spiel about the whole frame generation. Or if you guys are more interested in the RAM side, please let me know, and we'll talk more about it. So the PC building company Meta PCs based here in Phoenix said that the RAM MFG manufacturer has reached out to them to buy. Oh, are you serious? It's gotten that bad. So if you are like me, who had a i7 10th gen MX230 8GB DDR4, who has a BV9950X3D and a 5080. Oh, wow. So, bought my 5070 Ti a few weeks ago. Thank God. RAM is expensive, though. Every time I find a deal on Amazon, it disappears out my basket in seconds. That's how quickly they are selling out. I can believe it. It is insane just how quick they are selling out when it comes to RAM. In fact, I wanted to get more RAM, even just like regular DDR4 RAM, like for the stream build. My stream build is a Threadripper PC. If you guys follow, it's a 3970X. So it runs up to 8 sticks of DDR4 in it. Currently, I have up to 4. I wanted to fill it up, but unfortunately, it's all gone already. And the pricing is just quite horrendous. So Sorry, I resent the message in one. Oh, it's all right. Do you think it's a good idea upgrading from the 7800 Neon? I would suggest if you have a 5070 Ti, I would just hang on, to be honest. Reason why I would say to hang on is because there is going to be, more than likely, this 9850 X3D will be coming out sometime soon. And if that's the case, especially in CES, make sure you guys definitely subscribe to the channel. Like, don't forget that. That's definitely important. But also at CES, when we go there, then hopefully by then they will announce the new processors. Then it would make a bit more sense when it comes to like their whole price increasing. I think it's a bit premature for AMD to do so. I kind of saw through it too, because when we were looking over the Black Friday deals, and hopefully you guys got to check out those videos too, but on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I noticed that the processors weren't that great of a deal. It was like more like $5 or $10 off if you're lucky, and everything else was still like MSRP. They made it seem like it was a bigger discount than what it was. Like they were saying you're getting 40 or 50 bucks, and I practically said no, that's not true. It's like more like an illusion that they created from when it comes to the processor side. So unfortunately, that was kind of like a telltale sign that they did not want to adjust the pricing at all when it came to the processors. So no problem, Mattel. Should I probably stick with IPS? Also, I changed my CPU. Says the CPU will increase in price too. Yes, that is true. 9950X would be the beast. It's literally the best. What's up, Fred Young? It's literally the best when it comes from AMD. They use the top silicon. Now, if you have an Asus board, and if anybody has an Asus board, you can actually go into the BIOS and actually see what grade silicon that your processor is. So you can actually find out if it's going to be a high grade. Usually it's like 100. Some of them are as high as 110, insanely enough. But from that way, you can certainly tell how well the chip is made. And so far, most people who have the 9950X3D certainly have the best. Now, Hyde says, luckily I have a friend that works at Micro Center on the suburbs of Philly. And he said it's dumb-packed with people buying stuff. So they don't even need right now. Just because the cost is going up. Absolutely. Yeah, it is ridiculous. RAM prices are silly money. So how much of performance jump would a X3D processor would have compared to a 9950 X3D? So which one do you mean? Sorry, G, just trying to follow with you, because you're saying a performance jump would a X3D compared to like a regular X, or because they're both X3D processors here when you say 9950 X3D. So for what is more insane for me is the DDI. I know that makes absolutely no sense. They're just doing it because they just want to F with us. That's practically it. I feel like they're effing with us. Because now it's like they want to see how much money they can really pull out of us. See if we can compete with big corporates. Yeah, okay. And we're not doing that. And some new memory for my new build, but I've been priced out. A lot of people have. It's a very unfortunate fact for all of us out there, like when it comes to it. The RAM at Micro Center in Phoenix has been wiped out. It's gone already. That's insane. Oh, the upcoming X3D. Oh, so you're wondering what the difference is. The main difference between the two, if you're talking about the 9950 X3D and the version 2 when they release the 9950 X3D, is going to be the V-Cache. So if you're talking about like workloads, it's not going to be different. When it comes to more like when it comes to the gaming side, you can get an advantage, because if they're going to have, instead of just one CCD, they'll actually have them double stacked, practically meaning that both will be V-Cache, which would have an advantage in gaming. But there will be a disadvantage when it comes to different things, like when it comes to multitasking, because you wouldn't really need the V-Cache as much then. So in a way, you can argue they're going to be three almost completely different chipsets when you compare the 9950X, 9950 X3D, and then the 9950 X3D version 2 in relevance when it comes to gaming and when it comes to actual work. So for the actual work, you want to get the original 9950X. When it comes to the 9950 X3D, that's going to be good for those who want to focus a bit more on gaming and some productivity. And the 9950 X3D version 2 would be more, I would say that would be great for those who are into like 3D rendering and also gaming more than productivity, if that makes sense. So my current 7900X was able to have a negative 23 curve optimizer stable at 5300 megahertz. All cores with 90 degrees Celsius. That's awesome actually. That's a very decent processor. One of the guys here, Tony, I don't know if he's here watching with us, but Tony here, he actually he has like a miracle chip. I don't know how he did it, but he got negative 49 and he asked if he should tweak it even more. I'm like, no, leave it. If it's stable, that's perfect. But negative 23 is definitely a decent number to have. So a Micro Center PC builder just gave me a 2500 PC build. So I had I had to laugh with you there. I had to laugh with you there, bro. Especially when they said it's 6600. But don't worry, it made for 64 gigabytes. Oh my gosh. Right when I saw the RX 6600, I had to laugh there. They're just, at that point, they're just desperately trying to get rid of it. Even when we had, let me just quickly tell everybody about the RX 6600 and the story behind it. Plus the story behind like the 4050s or the 5050s, because they were the only ones that were left at Micro Center when all the GPUs, when we had that whole GPU issue, when all the 50 series is gone and all the high-end 40 series is gone, that's all they had left was those cards. So it's pretty obvious that they want to sell those cards. So I got a 32 gigabyte AM4 3600 Corsair Vengeance for 159 Australian dollars. That's not too, wait, AM4 3600? That seems a bit expensive, to be honest. It should be, technically it should be cheaper, but it's not the worst deal. What's the latency on it? I'm assuming it's CL16, I would think, at least CL16. So I'll be buying as many Facebook offices PCs for, it's funny. There's no longer jewelry dealers. It's all going to be RAM dealers now. If you open up a RAM shop, you're going to have, it's going to look just like in any other city. It's going to have bars on it. Like you have to hit the button to open up the door for people to come in to purchase RAM. It's going to get to that point. Now it's really ridiculous when it comes to purchasing RAM. So 16 gigabytes DDR4. So it was 200 USD. Checked out this Sunday. That's negative. That's what I said. I said that's amazing. He showed it to me, so he's definitely not lying. He definitely did it. So I only got to the RAM and what is the GPU was in there, and it was funnier. Yeah, I bet. I would if they told me that too. I would have hoped that they didn't have it built already, because by then they would have just wasted their time building that PC. I use Cryonaut Extreme Apace, by the way. Would anything else improve? No, that's perfect. You don't really have to do too much when it comes to thermal paste. Some people actually even prefer like the thermal pads, like the new aged ones. But to me, I'm still a bit sketched out. I got to do some like thermal tests to really know. But I know exactly the paste that you used. I actually just bought like a big thing of it too, because originally I had some Arctic Silver 5. Arctic Silver 5. I had Arctic Silver. And unfortunately, that tube ended up like drying up because I had it for years. But then it's like that last little bit I had ended up drying up. So I actually got some Cryonaut. So it's actually definitely a great thermal paste out there. But you don't really have to do anything additional. The only thing you can really do if you want to cool off your CPU more is find out the more efficient way of cooling off your PC. So maybe if you have you can optimize your fans through your settings, through your BIOS, or you can figure out like which is the best airflow for your PC. Now, if anyone wants to do that kind of test, you want to check out the airflow, really simple to do. All you have to do is get some like some incense sticks, burn them, and then see how the airflow is going through your system. And that's pretty much it. And then if you want to adjust to figure out better airflow, you can certainly do that. But also, you always want to have like a higher ratio of intake than exhaust. So, for example, you want a 3-2, or say like a 4-2 or a 4-3, something like that. Then you can certainly get more airflow that direction. Now, so the RAM prices are so bad that $1,000 PCs turns into $1,500 PCs. And I'm just trying to get into PC building with my first. I get it. For everybody that's just trying to get into PC building, I know this is a really painful time for you guys. I certainly apologize for everybody that is getting into it. But I can tell you right now, you've entered probably just the right time before it gets worse. And unfortunately, that's the bad side of it. It's certainly expected to get worse, only into 2026. Now, I don't expect the pricing to go too crazy. It could be dead wrong. It could end up like going up the very next week because maybe the demand's even higher than expected, especially because somebody in here just has mentioned that Meta PCs has even been getting contacted to purchase their RAM that they currently have in stock. And if that's the case, that's not a good sign. But you certainly came in at probably just right at the right moment before next year, because it's going to be near impossible to be building PCs in 2026 at this point. But I would highly recommend, if anyone does want to build a PC, you want to build within this year. You don't want to wait until 2026, because even these are the people, just to say, these are going to be the same people who said wait to build a PC, are the same people that said that, oh, they're just doing this for Black Friday. They're just trying to upsell the RAM. They're just trying to make it look expensive. So that way on Black Friday, they can bring it back down to the regular MSRP prices on Black Friday, and then and they'll sell it at regular price like back of September 2025. But guess what happened? It went up. It went up another $200 on Black Friday. So nobody really got a great deal. So now I'm tempted to look for any mom and pop computer shops around me. Yeah, that's a great question. That is a great question. You probably have a much better shot of buying RAM from somebody that absolutely does not know. So my GPU fans are turning slow. What's the reason? Now there's a couple of reasons for that. I'm assuming, what type of GPU do you have again? Is it because if some GPUs will actually not spin unless they are being used. So is it because it's at idle, your PC, you're not really using your GPU, because that's what your GPU fan curve is mostly set at. Now, if it's spinning slow while you're gaming, then it sounds like there's an issue with the card's fan speeds. And obviously that can be adjusted through something like MSI Afterburner. I got $350 RAM that was $600. That's awesome that you did. Yeah, thermal change pads are only way forward. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people are into that now. They like these new pads. So I have the 5000D full 120 millimeter 3-in-3 intake, 3-in-1 exhaust, fan and radiator top. At the exhaust, shall I move my AI? Now I can certainly tell you, I've tried this. I tried this a couple times. From moving it to the front or the top, I can say the more preferred method for sure when it comes to, because you always hear argument between this, like which way is better. And honestly, they're both exactly the same. So even if you feel like you're going to get better cooler air if you sit your 360, like say AIO in the front, it's not necessarily the case, because you would assume it would intake better cooler air instead of exhausting high air. So but the results ended up being the same. So honestly, either way is good. Either way will be great. And also, in the 5000D case, that's actually a great airflow case to have it set on the top, because I have it set the same exact way, but I got the 5000X instead. So the all my parts are coming next week. Awesome, Jet. Yeah, I can't wait for you to do your build. I got a Ryzen 7 3700X and an RTX 2060 Super. What should I upgrade? Now that's a great question. If you're looking to upgrade your PC, to be honest, Andy, I would say, I wonder if you're the same Andy that came into my first original stream. But Andy, I gotta say, like, when it comes to it, it's probably a good idea to think about building more than actually upgrading, because I don't want you to end up wasting money on a older AM4 system if you don't have to. But if you really have to upgrade on an AM4 system, go for the GPU. GPU would be the better upgrade. There's always going to be some sort of natural bottleneck when it comes to the CPU, because especially if you're going to be using it for gaming. So if you have to upgrade on an AM4 platform, upgrade the GPU instead, and you should be pretty much good. The only time you'll really start struggling more is when you get into engines, such as we mentioned earlier, such as Unreal Engine 5. That's going to end up struggling there. So I've tried undervolting my Ryzen 5600 CPU by -10, and it was unstable. All the cores somewhat stable on -8, but get random reboots once a week. Oh, wow. And do you have your PBO on and everything? You have your PBO, and have you tried adjusting? Yeah, that's rough. That's like really, well, 5600, that's why. You have a standard 5600. They're going to be a lot more stringent when it comes to that CPU. If you get the X, it's going to be a little bit different. So if anybody tries to overclock like a standard CPU, it's going to be very limited. If you can overclock it, like even up to, I'd be impressed if you could get it up to like -20 even on something like a 5600. But you won't get that as common as something like if you got a 5600X or you went the 5600 XUD. That will allow you for overclocking. So do I need to have the same fans on my AIO throughout my whole case? Not necessarily. As long as if you get what you want to look for when it comes to fans, when it comes to an AIO, is you want to make sure that you have better static pressure. So when you look at the fans, more than likely they probably have their own fans that come with it. You're going to look at the static pressure. The higher the number, the better the airflow is throughout that AIO. So that's what you want to look for. When it comes to a case fan, you want to look for a better CFM, which is going to be better airflow throughout the case. So again, they don't have to exactly match. You could get the same brands. If you want to fit more with your case, you want it to look a bit more natural and better that way, you certainly can. But those are the two most important factors when it comes to building a PC. So I doubt that the memory is being sold at these exorbitant prices was manufactured after prices went up a few weeks ago. I am Jacobs. You would certainly be surprised. There are people out there that will be buying this memory. Even though it's as much as an RTX 5080, you certainly have people that are going to go out there and purchase 64 gigabytes of RAM. It's funny because I was actually talking to one of my buddies. He hasn't built PCs in a while, and the last time he built was back on the Z690 on an Intel 12900K, and he wasn't even sure how much memory he really had. He even referring memory back of like, oh yeah, like how much is it? Like 4 gigabytes. I'm like, 4 gigabytes isn't really around like that anymore. 8 gigabytes is a bit more common. So he went to go check to see what he had, because he was like, oh yeah, what at Best Buy? I went to, I got to see how much memory I had. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember now. So he went to go look at it. It was back in 2020, I think 3, I can say. And it was 64 gigabytes of RAM he actually had. Of Corsair's Dominant. He had the Dominators, the all white ones. They're gorgeous looking. And he said that he ended up paying only $261. So I said, go ahead, click on the link. Tell me how much it is now. So he clicks it, and it's $961. So just, can you imagine that much of a difference? You literally bought some RAM that just 3 years ago, instead of degrading like it's supposed to. Naturally, all hardware degrades pretty quickly to the point where you'd be lucky to get like a few dollars to your next upgrade. But now it actually went up in value, which is odd. Same thing with GPUs. Another thing that has went up in value, which was odd when the whole 50 series issue came out. So feels like the pandemic when people were panic buying toilet paper. These mega corporations are buying RAM for data centers and leaving us with supply shortage. Yes, that is part of it. And you also have these factories such as Samsung and HK Hynix, which are not focused on making DRAM anymore. Instead, they want to focus on HBMs. And HBM is a much better form of RAM. It's a much more advanced. It's much more quicker. So that way it can work for their whole AI centers. So they're not, again, that's their main focus. And that kind of leaves us up, hanging up and dry. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be the same case like when it comes across a lot of corporations out there, because they're also going to suffer as much as we do, even though that they have different servers and they don't really use like consumer RAM like we do. They also have business RAM, and more than likely their side is quite affected as well. So I can't believe AMD raised GPUs cost 10% in early, and you know what the crazy part is? It's because of the VRAM, and that's the main reason. And I guarantee you, NVIDIA hasn't said it because they don't have to. All they have to say is, oh, we're just not going to package our VRAM anymore when it comes to our boards. We're just going to let our board partners deal with it. And that's like saying, like, well, we didn't raise the prices. It was MSI. It was ASUS. It was Gigabyte. It was their fault. They raised the prices. That technically they didn't. They're just have to install the VRAM that has to be on there. You can't have a GPU without VRAM. So you have to have VRAM. And plus, it's going to cost them now to install the VRAM, which is going to take a bit longer of a process to do, and also be able to retail it and try to attempt to retail it for the same exact price. So top exhaust, front intake, bottom intake. Yes. How like today's GPUs designed to AIUs. Agreed. Prime Gamer, what's up? What's up, Lee? Glad to see you here. So Andy should consider a new used PC. Avoid the RAM tax. The RAM alone might cost more than the entire used gaming PC. Absolutely. You know what's funny, Lee? I meant to send you a photo because I know you love seeing the sky, especially today. So I got to send that over to you just to remind me. So is full tower case better airflow than mid tower? Now it's funny because you don't see the full tower cases as common, but it seems like they are certainly making a comeback. And not necessarily, because when it comes to a full tower, you have to make sure that you have efficient airflow. So instead of like using a mid case tower, most of them will fit up to say 3 fans. With a full tower, you can fit up to 4 to 5 fans. And that's not just the front. That's talking about the side panel, also the top panel too. So it's like you can be overwhelmed with fans. And I'm sure you guys seen it. There's some people out there that have literally like 20 fans on their PC because of it. So in order for the airflow to be more efficient, it's not really more efficient, so to say, but you have to make it efficient because of that. But you can fit a lot more in a full tower case than you can on a standard case, if that makes sense. Like if you want to expand on your PC, you easily can. So Jacob, I saw a guy buy 32 for 560. And you know what's wild? He was probably waiting in line with this guy, and he was determined. He knew that he wanted to get that RAM. So I'm tempted to trade my RX 9060 XT 16 gigabytes, RTX 5060 Ti. The drivers have been really disappointing when playing Battlefields. Oh, really? You've been having issues with it? It's funny because not a lot of people have been really having issues with the 9060 XT. But I can say I know if you get the RX 9070 XT, that's certainly the better card to go with. But I do know though, Battlefield has been a bit picky when it comes to AMD, not just on the GPU side, but also on the processor side. So that's just a Battlefield issue, something that they certainly need to fix on their end, and it's not necessarily AMD. Because if you play any other type of titles, more than likely you're probably not going to face the same issues that you're having as you are with Battlefield 6. So hey, you check out this build if it's good? Feel free to send it to me. Feel free to join the Discord. Here it is. I got to really fix this command. Hopefully this works for everybody out there, because for some reason my timer on StreamBot isn't working properly for some weird reason, which I definitely want to check out here. Let me see. Check it out. Apologize for the quick inconvenience. Just double checking my... Yes, it says that they're all on. Okay, hopefully it works now. I'm going to try it now. I'm going to test it just to see if it works. So here we go. running the test here. Let's see. I'll mess with it later. So it's working. Yeah, the Discord. Yeah, I know that one is, but my timer isn't. Oh, did I? I'm sorry, Jet. You said my air and CPU cooler was 6617 because I asked if I could see different fans. I didn't mean to, Jet. Apologize. Like I said, I got a whole chat too. So you said that you have 60. That's good. That's decent. So no reason why I skipped you, Jet. Unfortunately, you're not the only one in here. So is it good for a 9070 XT for a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D? It's perfectly fine. So I built and sold many PCs as a part-time hustle. So the best price and performance build will always be the X99 Xeon chips. Thanks for subscribing.
Subscribe to the channel.
Quad channel 14 cores, $30, pushes any GPUs to its limits. So yeah, I mean, like, certainly now, it's definitely going to be a lot harder for everybody out there that is going to expect to really turn a profit when it comes to PC building, because not a lot of people are going to be wanting to pay extra pricing. So that's, especially when we see the premiums for 2026, it's going to be quite the difference, especially from what we are facing this year. And all because, again, we don't have Micron anymore. They actually just recently released some DRAM that was actually going to be a very good deal. In fact, it was going to be a deal where it had 6400 megahertz with CL32, where it was going to be priced decently around $270 to $280, which is a fair price, especially if you're trying to get some RAM, especially if you need it for a PC build. But unfortunately now, if you go onto places like Corsair, or if you go to G-Skill, if you go to any website, they're also going to have issues. So thank you for the quick insights. And yeah, hopefully Battlefield fixes their driver problem, because I'm really enjoying. Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. Hopefully everybody out there is certainly enjoying Battlefield 6. It's certainly a great time. Definitely a poll I have to throw out there for everybody is if you're enjoying Battlefield 6, or has anybody enjoyed Arc Raiders. Hopefully you enjoyed that stream when we were doing it on the past Saturday. And I've been hearing a lot of great things about Ready or Not. I definitely got to take a look into that, because I've heard some great things about it. So let me try that there. Oh, that works. That's weird. So thank you for subscribing.
Subscribe to the channel.
Acronin. Okay, so that works. So it's, the funny thing is the timed actions aren't working, but thank you, Waffle Skater.
Waffle Skater is now
so
following.
I can say thank you for following on Twitch as well. I do appreciate it. But I can say when it comes to NVIDIA, it certainly seems like we're not going to see any new cards, unfortunately. Just because AMD decided to raise their prices up to 10% doesn't mean that NVIDIA doesn't plan to do the same thing. They just don't have to say it, because, again, they're just going to throw it more onto their brand partners more than anything. They don't have to say it, because they'll just say, well, MSI had to raise the prices due to, which we're going to hear is due to the VRAM, due to the limited capacity that we certainly have. So what kind of piece do you have? So what's your question, Jet Samson? That's not clear. What kind of piece do you have? So, or do you mean PC? So, NVIDIA is not the only one that's also going to end up going up in pricing. SSDs are unfortunately going to take a hit. We already thought that NAND flash was bad. Now, it's going to be even worse when it's coming up. Okay, so on the type of PCs that I have on the streaming build, I gotcha. I kind of figured that. So the PC that I have right now on the streaming build is a Threadripper 3970X with a RTX 5080, 64 gigabytes of DDR4 3600 CL16 with a deep cool Castle EX360 cooler. So again, it was way ahead of its time. TRX 40 on the stream build on the game build, it's a RTX 5090 with with up to 48 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. Also has a gigabyte Gen 5 SSD with and it does have the Asus X870 Hero motherboard. That is a 5000X case with the Asus Ryzen 3 cooler. So I'm a pan. Oh. Oh, this guy. So what's the purpose of that? Banned. There you go. Pretty easy. So, so speaking of which, those are everything that is in with those two builds. So, so either one, again, if you're planning to do something like a Threadripper build, that is much better for something like if you are planning to do production use. I don't recommend it for anybody that is trying to game on it. It's way too many cores for that. So yes, they're expensive. And originally I built this. This is an older build, so when I first built it, it was only like I actually ended up picking it up for like a decent deal. And it was at Micro Center. This was when I first built this PC, it was in 2020. So, has anyone experienced unusually high temps on DDR7? Not necessarily. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I honestly I haven't had any issues when it comes to DDR7. GDDR7, right? That's what I'm assuming, that if you're having issues. But if you're talking, you know what's funny? Samsung does have a new DDR6 that they are coming out with. And I'm curious to see how that's going to be. If that's going to change anything, more than likely it's not. So when it comes to CES 2026, I'm hoping to hear good news. I don't want to fly out to Vegas and hear some really negative news for everybody to hear. And hopefully everybody here does tune in for it, because it's definitely going to be good. And we're going to AMD's booth, not booth, but their meeting room on January 5th at 6:30 Western time. So it's going to be around 3:30 Eastern time. So how do you... I actually installed it recently. That it wasn't a 5090. It's not a 5090 in the RTX, not the Threadripper build, but it's actually a 5080. And if you followed the stream a couple weeks ago, I had to upgrade it. Unfortunately, I actually upgraded it twice. Originally, it was a 2080 Ti. Then it went to a 3080 Ti. Then I had to swap it to the 5080 after. So yes, absolutely correct. Oh, sweet. I will pay. Oh, I bet you would. So do you review videos? If you, yes, do you? Yes, I do review videos. Currently, the most I work with right now is, I've been working with Asus, and I've worked with a couple other companies as well. So Costco has iBuy power pre-builds with 9800X 3Ds and 5070s with 32 gigabytes of RAM. Oh, thanks for following.
Mommy is now following.
So Costco has iBuy power pre-builds. You got to really watch it with them too, because now they're gonna go. They already announced that their pricing was going up because of RAM, and now it's going to be even worse because Micron was like their main go-to when it comes to manufacturing RAM. So now it's going to be a lot more expensive, because now they're going to have to focus more on like places such as Corsair or G-Skill or anyone else that's produced, like say they use HK Hynix mostly when it comes to the memory side. What games do I play? Great question. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 6. Recently I just gotten into Arc Raiders. Also, I love the Ninja Gaiden series. It's also a great series to play. Elden Ring is certainly a ton of fun. I'm actually still stuck in a certain area there, and I know I got to go back and complete it, because it's been a while. I got to complete that game, especially I got so far in it. I'm like up to... do you guys remember the Skin Reapers? I think they're called the Skin Reapers in the cave. That's where I'm at right now when it comes to Elden Ring. So, Skin God? Or it's something like that, his name is. It's slipping my mind too. So I have a AMD Ryzen 5 7500F and a RTX 3060 12 gigabyte. What GPU should I upgrade to? So the GPU that you should certainly upgrade to, you have a decent processor. So I would say if you would like to, I would say I highly recommend, first off, I got to ask what kind of games you play. Because if you play Battlefield 6, obviously there's people who have issues when playing Battlefield 6. I've had issues when I played with Radeon's cards as well. Not just their GPUs, but also on the devices such as the Xbox Ally X or the Lenovo Legion Go 2. They also experience issues when it comes to that. But if you play Battlefield 6, then I would highly recommend getting like something like a 5070 Ti. Now, if you prefer something, in fact, you know what, Lee, I gotta ask you. In fact, yeah, it plays great for him. Matter of fact, he hasn't had issues with it. So, do you face that only with Battlefield 6? Everything else is fine. Okay, sure. my most advanced game is Black Myth Wukong. Okay, so Black Myth Wukong, that's actually so if you are into Black Myth Wukong, and if you turn on ray tracing, and if you're into like the high graphical side, then I would say go 5070 Ti for that. Now, if you prefer other titles, I would say then I would go 9070 XT. Now, the price is going to be different between the two. Now, the 9070 XT you can get for a decent deal. You can get it as low as $600 depending on how your budget is, especially if you have a Micro Center near you, or check in the description box. I think I have it down there too. Also, or if the 5070 Ti is going to be a little bit different in pricing, I think it's like just about like $150 more. So it's like if you choose to upgrade and you prefer the ray tracing and the path tracing, which really is great when a game such as Black Myth Wukong, then that's what I would go for. So, yep, none. There you go. See, because I remember Lee has a 9070 XT, works great on his rig. And it plays great for him. Maybe specifically it's the 9060 XT. Yeah, that's a game that my GPU struggles with. If I had ray tracing on, oh really? The 79. So, but for the 9070 XT, Lee specifically has the Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT, and he hasn't had any like real issues with it. It's funny because I've heard a lot of people have issues when it comes to Battlefield 6 when it comes to it, but it's really hasn't been that much of an issue for Lee from what I've known. But I remember in the beginning, we actually had a little bit of trouble because of the whole TPM issue. Not TPM, what was it? Because we had to get into the BIOS in order to enact something. So Power Color, that's a good deal. So just like what Nick brought up, Power Color is selling their 9070 XT Red Double for $650 on their Amazon store. So that's a good deal. That's an awesome deal, actually. Power Color is one of those top companies when it comes to the 9070s or the 9060s. Same when it comes to XFX. Because if you guys are familiar with EVGA, XFX is practically like EVGA. They were actually, everyone talks about how EVGA left NVIDIA. XFX actually left NVIDIA before EVGA. So that's another great company too, if you can find their GPUs also on sale. So AC Boy says, is an undervolted 9070 XT better than the 5070 Ti? Yes, good vibes. Yes, RAM pricing is crazy. Unfortunately, it's very expensive at the point. But yes, I can say undervolting in 9070 XT. It does have its advantages. Again, I love that card. It's a great card. If I put out everything for, which I got to do, I got to make a video for the top hardware of each component for the year. And I'll tell you guys right now, it's going to be the 9070 XT. That is a awesome card. Again, comparing even to the 50 series, I certainly say it's a great card. The ray tracing is pretty much close to when it comes to a 5070. Now, when it comes to path tracing, that's a completely different story. There's still about like 2 generations behind when it comes to path tracing. But other than that, not really a lot of people want to go into path tracing like that unless you have like a really high-end card. Like if you have a 5090, you might as well, because you spent like $3,000 on a card, so you better. So is the 7127 at SNDX12 with a 7900X and 4080 good? If you're benched if you bench 24th global, that's pretty awesome actually. The 4090 also I got to bring up is still a great card. So if anybody has that card, that is a gem. You got to keep that card. It's going to be one of its kind, and there's a reason why it's still so expensive even in the used market. I actually wish I kept my 4090 in fact. So I love my power color. So I'm not a Battlefield 6 guy. Should I go with my build? Yeah, I mean if you're not a Battlefield 6 guy, I'm saying like going with a 9070 XT would be great. You would certainly enjoy it for the most part. Yeah, the 9060 is an amazing card for a battle. just not for Battlefield 6. Because I noticed that it's always like the lower. For some reason, it's the 9060s and under. Anything under that seems like it's been having issues. And I wish Battlefield would fix it. I wish it was like Helldivers, where they managed to get 150 gigabytes to turn into 29 gigabytes. That sounds like some sort of black magic that they pulled there, because it just blows my mind that they were able to do that. What's the best undervolt setting for a 9? That really depends. Yeah, thank you for joining. I do appreciate it. For anybody sending that message now, my test trigger. So my Sapphire Nitro plus 9070 XT is on back order from Amazon until 20th of this month. So, okay. So if that's the case, as long as if you do get it in, as long as if they honor the price, that is the most important part. So I regret not getting the 4090 when I built my PC. I don't. You know what? I don't blame you. Not a lot of people knew about like how the RTX 4090 was like this beautiful gem. It really was. A lot of people actually didn't really care for the 40 series. In fact, they considered it one of the worst generations of NVIDIA, they would say. But honestly, I have to say, one of the 50 series hasn't been as good as the 40 series, I think. Especially when it comes to the 5060. 5060 is like a joke. Same thing with the 4060. It's nowhere near as good as like how the 3060s. That was the last good 3060 or the 60, the 3060 combo that they had. Hopefully they certainly improve it when it comes out with the new cards. Again, if they choose to go HBM, that would just be insane. I don't know why they would. Who's going to be able to afford a GPU like that? It's just going to be insanely expensive and advanced. So, hey, I saw your RAM video and have done a small analysis myself. For the most part, it seems like the pricing that could normalize around October or November of next year. All supplies booked until Q3 2026. But this doesn't this affect? Absolutely. This certainly will. Thank you for seeing that video. I will say it will certainly affect it in the most part. I don't think a lot of people expected Micron to pull that card. If you guys are unfamiliar with Micron, they are also the creators of Crucial, the great T705s and the T710s. Those Gen 5 SSDs are no longer going to be available. Make sure to take advantage of it if you can, because they are some great SSDs you can certainly get. Also, when it comes to the RAM, try to pick up as much RAM as you can from them, because they are certainly more of the value deal compared to your bigger guys such as G-Skill, or compared to somebody like, especially like Corsair. Corsair is getting slammed with a lot of hate right now. Like, if you've seen their ads, it's just been ridiculous. It's been saying like, level up now, get your Corsair RAM, level up with 7,000 megahertz and CL30. And everyone's just slamming, like, what are you talking about? It's so expensive now. How can I buy this? So it was sitting around $1,700 to $1,800 at Micro Center when I went. I didn't want to pay that much, but knowing that my PC would be entirely different and probably cheaper. So yes, Crucial is being discontinued by February, but do we panic buy right now or just wait it out? For Crucial, I would say it's a good idea to buy now. Because the reason why is because Team Group has also made the announcement too. And as I mentioned in the video, as you've seen, that they said that more than likely this can extend into 27 to 28. Again, it could just be them just saying like, hey, just in case. They're just trying to cover their ass, really. Because they don't want to say something that isn't true. They can't just say, we're going to have it in 2026, because honestly, they don't know. It's more or so what the demands are from the AI companies. If they still demand HBMs, they still demand a DRAM, that's still going to be an issue, because they're going to need it for their LLMs, and they're also going to need it for their servers. So unless this whole AI craze is calming down a bit, and there's indications of it being a lot calmer, as you notice, everybody out there who has social media, you don't see as much AI videos, and it's for a good reason, because again, people are getting a bit of fatigue. They're getting tired of seeing things that are not actually real. They want to see actual human interaction now. They're tired of seeing the BS that isn't true. So hopefully it does turn down a notch. I think people are getting tired of being force-fed AI with everything, including AI microwaves, which is pretty ridiculous. So the Red Devil appears to be sold out, but they do have the 9070 XT Hellhounds for $630. Good deal. See, Nick's our guy. He will let you know what they have. So here's the issues. When normalized, are they going to... You know what? That's a great question, because that's what it's going to seem like. We should... Yeah, like today is like our normal pricing now, unfortunately. So everything that you see that's technically for sale, or you want to buy some RAM for like a great deal, technically you're seeing it now. Because the very next year, if you see that 32 gigabytes for now $610, you're going to be like, man, why didn't I just buy it back in December? And you're going to be thinking those exact words. Just like how you look at your older receipts, if you did end up buying RAM back in September, prior to September of 2025, you realize like, man, I should have actually ended up like stocking up a little bit on some RAM, or I should have stocked up. That's when you think about those aspects. So you don't want to end up doing it too late. You don't want to buy too late. You want to buy at least what you need. Don't buy what you want. That's the key. Only buy what you need, absolutely necessary. Whether when it comes to RAM, when it comes to GPUs, when it comes to SSDs, just get what you need that is necessary for you to be able to run comfortably for what you expect for at least the next 3 years. Because if that's the case, if you do have to wait the next 3 years, then you'll be pretty much good. You won't stress as much. So, is lossless get? No, I'll tell you that right now. That's just a waste. Yeah, you don't even have to get that. Valid. I was building my PC next year, sadly. Seems to be a terrible time to do so. Yes, and unfortunately, that's what I've been trying to let everybody know, that it's not going to be a good case for anybody out there. I don't want anybody that ends up buying a 5070 Ti for over $1,000. We've seen it. We already seen it back in January and February. When it becomes to that price, when you're forced to pay that price, it really is going to hurt your pockets. And nobody deserves to pay outrageous cost when it comes to your GPUs, when it comes to building a PC. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be cost inductive, you know? It's not supposed to give you, it's not supposed to hurt your pockets as much, I should say. It does hurt your pockets, but it shouldn't hurt it nearly as much as putting out remortgaging your house or refinancing your car with building a PC. So with that in mind, you reckon upscaling technology is making developers leave? Absolutely. I've been stressing about this when it comes to development, when it comes to things like lossless scaling, and when it comes to things like frame generation. And you know what? That made me nearly forget about the whole rant I wanted to say about the whole frame generation. And again, it is 100% making developers more lazier because they don't have to develop as much. Perfect examples are, look at Borderlands 4. You look at Outer Worlds 2. You look at those type of games, they demand you to practically have frame generation on. Even Monster Hunter's Wilds is a bit ridiculous if you don't have frame generation on. But here's the beef with it. If you ever notice, and if you ever run a benchmark test with something like Monster Hunter's Wilds, and you have frame generation on and off, you'll notice that you obviously get better frames when you have frame generation on. You might get, say, 250, just for an example. 250 frames with frame generation. Sounds all good on paper, right? But your score is like, 30,000. But when you have your frame generation off and you're running the game and you notice that you only get 200 frames without frame generation, but your score is going to be about, say, 35 or 36,000. And you're like, why is that? You have better frames when you have frame generation on. And it's exactly how it sounds. It's not really true frames that you are experiencing. It's just practically duplicates. It's almost like kind of understanding the pattern of the game. So it makes it seem like it's inducing some sort of extra frames when it's actually not. So you're instead, that's why if you're playing games, like for example, like when I made the video on the Lenovo Legion Go 2, going back to that, even though that's not NVIDIA, but for example, AMD's frame generation, when you're seeing it on Battlefield 6 even, it says 170 frames, right? But it's not feeling like 170 frames. It still technically feels like you're playing at 40 frames per second. Even though it says it's 170, it doesn't react. The input lag's not there for it. You see what I mean? That's the big problem when it comes to frame generation. It's not true to its nature. So when you're playing the game, even though it feels like you're going at 250, you're not going to feel it. And the worst part of it too is when I even first experienced it in something like Ninja Gaiden 2, when they remastered it and they had frame generation featured on, and I had the RTX 4090, I was like, oh, let me turn this on and see what it's about. Turn it on, and it was completely horrid. And the reason being is like, just like when Ryo Hayabusa is jumping on the wall when he does the bird flip, instead he does the bird flip, and then I start to see pixels everywhere, like all over the place. Like it didn't know what to do. It didn't know how to mimic it. So it just made it into a big mess. So frame generation is certainly not it. Definitely one of those things where it's just to try to sell you. So what's up, Wink? What's up, Silent Fusion? The Borderlands rep just said, no, he didn't. Did he really? He said just use, so I probably can't have the exams coming up in the heavens and my parents are going to, oh man. So I fear the price of RAM, it is. Unfortunately, it's only going to go up because AI is just going to demand more. The data centers are obviously needed. They obviously need the HBM. They obviously need the servers to fill up because, as you notice, like if you use something like ChatGPT, you'll notice it gets slower and slower. And reason being is because they get fuller and fuller each day. So they have to get more and more service to accomplish what they need with ChatGPT, for example, or any other type of AI that you use. You'll notice that it's getting slower. Now, if you compare it to something like a local LLM, if anybody has used one, try it. See how a local LLM is. And if you use it, like practically local AI, you're going to see how much quicker the response is compared to using something like a AI server. So when you use AI server, you have to wait for the response back. Now, when you use something that's locally done, it's going to respond immediately within seconds, like nanoseconds. So again, they're trying to accomplish how quick it used to be. Because if you guys remember back then, it was really quick. Like if you asked it a question, it would respond relatively quick. But because of how many people are using AI, how many people are using OpenAI, or they're using Google or whichever AI platform of their choice, that is why the demand is so high. That's part of the reason. So Wink says, hi, is it okay for me to sell DDR4? I mean, probably if you want to sell it for that low. So you lose 19 to 30% of actual frames to get, yes, pretty much. So all it's a ruse. Yes, it is. It's not true to what you see. Okay, so I'm glad I found a live channel. I have a question about specifically for the video editing. What's your options? So that's a great question. What are your specifications that you do have? I got to start off with that because that depends. And are you willing to pay monthly? It's another thing. It just depends on what your options are here. So bought my entire build on Black Friday, 600 over budget. Yes, yeah, you got to pretty much do it. It's better $600 over than $2,000 over. I got to say that now. So if anyone needs to build a PC and you got to do it today, you got to do it. You want to make sure that you're able to build a PC in December. Just go ahead and do it. Just you'll end up saving a lot of heartache and you'll prevent He'll prevent refinancing your house. And also, just to let you guys know, join in the Discord server. It is completely free here. So go ahead and join in. It's so weird. I know I got my timed actions correct here. But anyway, so AMD Ryzen's, so let me go back here. When Cyber Monday end, it's going to end, it's probably ending at the end of the week. They always say it's just Monday, but we all know that's BS. The sales will continue to go on until like before Christmas, to be honest. So if you need to buy a PC components, you'll still get some great deals, especially for this upcoming weekend, especially for anybody who is waiting on their payday, you know? So power color for RX 9070 XT for, you know what's funny? Third Eye, that Nick actually brought that up. He said that he found them for $650. That's actually a great deal. MSRP for a 9070 XT, just to give you an idea, it should be at $600, but $650 is a very good deal. And the reason why it's a little bit more, because they do, when it comes to power color, when it comes to their editions, they do some like overclocking on it, some factory overclock. So you can take advantage of that. So that's actually a great deal. So OG Kashev says that AMD Ryzen 5700G Gigabyte RTX 5070 Ti ASUS Tough Gaming B550 Plus Wi-Fi Patriot Viper RGB2 X 16 gigabytes 3600 megahertz Corsair CX. Not bad. That's a decent build. $950. At least it's under $1,000. That's actually great. So I'm guessing prices are bound to sky. Yes. Unfortunately, the pricing is just going to get ridiculous. If anyone has a PC build today, they're going to be looked next year as privileged. You're going to look like Squidward when he wears like the king, like the crown and the cape, and the golden cane. That's what you'll look like having a PC. It'll definitely define as like PC master race, right? Because it's gonna look like only the privileged people could really have like a PC gaming rig. But the case is, the people who do have it are the ones that certainly are smart enough to take advantage of the moment that they do have. I certainly don't recommend waiting to 2026. Because that's one of those moments where it's just like where they said, oh, RAM prices are up because they're just going to drop to regular MSRP back on Black Friday. And instead of it going to like the original $100 that everybody thought it was going to drop down to, it went from $300 to $600. So everyone just ended up losing out on it. So I have a Ryzen 9 9900X paired with a 5070 Ti. I'm using it to stream and edit videos. Okay, so that's good. So, thanks for subscribing, Lance ZD. I certainly appreciate it. I just wondered, should I go for 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes? So, if you have to make a choice, just go 32 gigabytes. Don't spend 64 gigabytes if you don't have to. 64 gigabytes is actually overkill for a lot of people out there. Now, if you are editing videos, I get why you want to get 64 gigabytes. Now, I would say, are you editing high end? It just depends how. Are you using things like graphics? If you're using graphics, yes, you're going to need more RAM. But if you're not using as many graphics, if it's more like basic editing, like you're doing high-res 4K or something, you certainly still can take advantage of 32 gigabytes and you would be okay. You won't have any issues. Now, since you have the 5070 Ti, for anyone that does plan on editing videos, I do highly recommend using something like DaVinci. It's completely free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay like for Adobe each month if you don't have to. Try out DaVinci. You would love it. The color grading is awesome on it if you messed around with that. So what do I think about the 9070 XT? I think it is a awesome, I think it's a beautiful card. I think it's one of the best cards that you could certainly get, especially out in the market. 9070 XT is one of those highly underrated cards. I can't rave enough about it. It's certainly a card for anybody out there that, it's certainly a card that anyone wants to look for price and performance. Now, it's not going to be great for anybody out there, for whoever wants to use it for like something like path tracing, but most people who are getting something like RX 9070 XT is not thinking of path tracing. You could take advantage of regular ray tracing, has no issues. I played a ton of games on it with no issues. But yeah, 9070 XT is certainly the way to go. Bro, it's a second-hand gaming PC. Is it worth buying? If it's second-hand, that's really a different story. No. Not for $950. No. I would say no. Laugh loud. I'm immediately hiding a smart tech. Yes, location tracking that monkey. I recommend. Yes, yeah. You don't want to lose your PC. Once they find out where if you have a PC build, they're gonna want to follow you. So IK4K says a Ryzen 5 9600X, ASUS TUF B650E Wi-Fi, Team Group Team Force Vulkan 32GB CDR5, 6000 CL30, Deepcool LS520 S0 Dark, ASUS Prime RX 9060 XC 16GB overclock, Corsair CX 750. Good mix, very balanced. There's a lot of balanced builds out there. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I haven't seen anyone where I wanted to rip besides the guy who, weirdly enough, had a 9950X with a GT. I don't know what he's thinking, a GT 460. So I'm still stuck choosing between the SSD. So if you're choosing an SSD, okay. So for you have a Ryzen 5 7600X and a 9070 XFX. You mean 9070 XT? I would assume. Yes, that is a great combo. Now, if you're looking for an SSD, I'm assuming are you using this PC strictly for just gaming? If you are using it for gaming, PCI Express 4 works perfectly fine. You don't have to go up the next grade. You don't have to get PCI Express 5 because it's the latest and the greatest. PCI Express 4 will work perfectly fine. If you guys are curious about that, you want to see the facts of it, feel free to check out the video because I do have a video up of PCI Express 4 going up against PCI Express 5 when it comes to gaming. You'll notice that there's like little to no difference when it comes to that. So Anthony POG says I would be using a graphics card and things like rendering in Blender if I have the paid version of DaVinci and Fusion quite often. Oh, okay, so VFX. So if you do that, okay. So yeah, 64 would be good if you're going to do that. 64 would definitely have quite the advantage. Z-Manscore at 715 says, I mentioned this here before. I bought 64 gigabytes of RAM for $195. And I said that it was $580 at the time. Today, man, it's like, what? It's insane. $684 discount. Z-Man, you have an investment property there. It's just going to skyrocket from there. That's just not going to drop down at all, is it? That's insane. That's really insane. So anybody out there who does have some, anybody out there that does have some sort of RAM, I gotta say it's going to be quite the investment. So. But my SSD is a Crucial P310 1TB SSD, PCIe Express Gen 4. That's fine then. If you have, that's going to work perfect. It's a shame about Crucial because again, like I was saying, guys, like when it comes to Crucial, they're certainly one of the better ones to go with. It's funny, somebody actually brought up to my attention that they said that they were having issues with Crucial. But to me personally, like out of all the Crucial projects, out of the Crucial products that I've never had any real issues with them at all. So if you're going to editing as well, yes, 64 gigabytes would be definitely the best way to go, especially with everything that you're doing. So D. Thomas says, I just bought Lexar 2 16 32 gigabyte CDR5. No way. You didn't get it for that cheap, did you? That's insane. That is insane. You're going to make me look at Staples. Like it's 8 o'clock. I still got time to get to a Staples and find out. So thank you. Yeah, no problem. Chip the channel. So Z Mansker says, if I get into finance, yes, the RAM investment. You know what? It's like buying shares. You don't have to sell both. You can sell one and keep the one to advance, keep the one. How, how the yeah, you keep one to build the investment, and you sell one. Then the next time, if you really have to, then you sell the other. That's insane. I can't believe you got it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Silent Fusion. Like, how did you get of 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it's CL30 at 6,000 megahertz for $119? Tell us your secret. What did you do? You gotta let us know, because that's something we all would love to know. We'll all go to Staples, especially if we can get some decent RAM for that price. They're really lost in Staples anymore. And the funny thing is, I remember they used to really keep up to date when it came to modern hardware. But man, let me tell you, that just tells you how lost they are in the sauce right now. And if anybody's just joining in, thank you for joining in. I do appreciate it. I hope you got to see the Ramageddon video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's definitely been quite the debacle about this whole issue when it comes to RAM. So excluding upscaling technologies, what is a technology that everyone is hyping up now that you think is actually a dead end? Besides upscaling tech, what else is coming to a dead end? That's a decent question. I actually got to think of this one. I feel, again, like I think eventually AI is definitely one of those ones where it's hyped up for nearly nothing. I honestly didn't think it would develop this far. I thought it was one of those things where it would end up like dying off within the last year. But I think they did so well at marketing AI and the use of it to make it almost useful. It's just like human nature. We'll use something until we get pretty much bored of it. And I think we'll get to the point when it comes to AI and that same pretty much in that same idea. It's going to get to the point where we're not going to use it as often, but it's going to be used as like almost like a light tool. I want to be used as crazy as it is now. And it won't be as demanded as much because, again, people don't like to talk to something that isn't real. Just like we don't like to see like videos that are not real. They want to have actual human interaction, and again, it would get tiresome again when you get the AI conversations. So guys, make sure to join in on our wonderful Discord. I'm sending you guys the command here, so feel free again to join in on Discord. Just click that link and that will invite you to the server. All you have to do is click OK, get into the server, and you guys will be good. And also for anybody that I don't get what is going on with my PC. It's a 5070 Ti worth 9800 X3D, and my game micro stutters. It's so annoying. So if your game's micro stuttering, it might not be actually your 50. So what I would suggest, Creed, is you're going to have to pull up something like your stats. Pull up your stats and see exactly what is being used up. More than likely, a very common issue that can be happening. What game is it, by the way, that's giving you those micro stutters? Because this would be a tall tale, especially if it's Unreal Engine 5. That's usually like a case that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because it just doesn't know how to use resources correctly, and that's one of them. And AMD Ryzen 7800 X3D, Cooler Master 212B, ASUS ROG Strix X. Yeah, that's a great motherboard, by the way. G-Skill Flare X5, 32 gigabytes, DDR5. CL30 memory, Samsung 870 EVO. That's actually I like that build. That's a very good build, in fact. What type of power supply are you using? I would assume that you're probably using something like around 8. Let me see. You're probably using something like a 850, I would assume. So I'm listening since I am working on accounting homework. I mean, no, I appreciate it, Frozen. I always appreciate all my guys out here that's in the chat, just chilling and relaxing. So apparently Wi-Fi can cause stutters. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of... Jay-Z did a... I think he made J2 sets, right? It would be pretty funny if Jay-Z started doing hardware reviews, right? So, guys... so I just built a AM5 9600X Ace Rock. Awesome. It's Crucial Teeth. Oh man, we're going to miss Crucial so much. Like when they're going 64 gigabytes of Lexar DDR, and that's another one I underrate. Happens on Silent Hill 2 remake and well as its campaign. So if that's the case, if it's stuttering, what I would do is usually the case, it's really a small case. Most of the time it can be something as small as an update. Make sure that your drivers are up to date. Also make sure that you have the correct performance factors in there, because sometimes if it's using up, like say, too much resources, such as like maybe it's using the wrong, again, I've seen it happen with Battlefield. It could be using the wrong side of the processor instead of the V-cache. It's going into the non-V-cache, which could also be the one that's causing stutters, such as what you're describing. It could be something like that. But what I would do is worry about tuning it first. See if it still stutters. Drop the settings a bit lower. First, update the card, and update all your drivers, including your chipset driver, which is the 9800 XTRA-D. Update your BIOS is always good. It's always good to be ahead of that, and see if it still stutters then. Because there's always new like microcodes practically written into the BIOS, and that can actually resolve a lot of the issues. So I have a 9700X and a Razer Hambo 3360mm AIO. I feel like it's running a bit hot. It's a new build a couple days ago, and I'm downloading the game, and the temps are around 50 to 65. And you have a 90. That's actually 50 is pretty average for idle. That's honestly not too bad. 9700X actually runs a bit hotter compared to 9700X actually runs a bit hotter compared to like X3D, because they run at 170 watts versus 120. So I wouldn't worry about that as much. That's actually pretty decent. I would consider it more hot if it would constantly run like at say like 65 to 70. Then it would be hot. Yes. Ask Reddit, you get 100K to spend in 1 hour. Oh, I like that one. I like that one, Waffle. But guys, Bam, thank you guys so much for joining in. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Please join in on Saturday. We will do our stream back then. Oh, what's up? Thank you, Creed. I appreciate the super chat. Much love to you.
606 super chatted $5.
Yeah,
Much
thank
love,
you guys so much for
advice.
joining in. I do appreciate it. Please join Discord. It's free. And join the roundtable, you guys. Would love to talk to you guys there. And again, I'll send my Discord to you guys out right here. And there you go. Just join in and welcome to the server. And hopefully I can see you guys on Saturday. Feel free to ask. If you have more questions, feel free to bring it up in Discord. We have a wonderful group in there too. Thank you guys. And you guys have a great morning, evening, or afternoon, depending where you guys are at around the world. Yeah, the cooler's not bad. Throw that in there real quick. Cooler is not bad. It's a decent cooler. Cooler Master has always been decent when it comes to cooling. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Bro, you gotta send me that store. You gotta send me that store, because I will buy everything. I think all of us will. Send it. Please send it to Discord. Would love to know. Would certainly love to know. And guys, thanks so much for watching, and much love to the Bam.